Hi everyone. This video is going to be about our BX52R wood chipper that we bought brand new in 2023. We have been using it for the past 3 years, but it never really performed like it should. These wood chippers come in many different colors, but they are all the same Chinese copy of the Wallenstein BX52R. These are the feed rollers of the China-made BX52. They have flat bars and pretty small teeth. If we compare these to the rollers of the original, which have much larger teeth and are a completely different design overall. Needless to say, the China-clone feed rollers don't really work that well. So, I started making my own design. Next, I took my drawings to the CNC plasma and cut out all the parts out of 8mm sheet steel. Then I did a test fit before I final weld everything. The bottom rollers are pretty much a straight fit. The top one needed some modification to the housing. I cut off a piece of 30mm and got rid of the support gussets. The feed rollers weren't the only problem with this machine. Ever since we had it, the hydraulic controls never really functioned the way they should. The plunger gets actuated by following this track. You can adjust the height of the valve block by sliding it up or down in these slots. The problem is that the peaks and troughs of the track don't have enough travel to control the plunger all the way. It would move great forward, but doesn't get in reverse then. Or the other way around. I took apart the side plate and measured the difference. If I remember correctly, it came short about 3mm of travel. So I welded it up and made some modifications to the track so it had enough travel for the plunger. I then put it all back together, and as you can see, it's working as it should now. The new feed rollers made a massive difference. This was absolutely impossible before, with the old rollers. So when testing, I noticed that sometimes the branches would get stuck between the bottom rollers and the edge. So I made these fingers that sit in between the rows. They scoop up the branches and guide them into the mouth of the chipper. If you look at the Wallenstein BX52R, you will see they have them too. Okay, so there is another problem, and it got only worse after the feed roller modifications. The chute clogs up really fast if you chip the slightest bit of wet material or leaves. Also, the rotor design is different from the original Wallenstein. The twig breakers are single row and the vanes are shaped differently, but the problem is more in the chute itself. So let's take a look at the chutes of the original and the clone. On the left we have the Wallenstein. Notice how the pipe gets from a square to an octagonal shape, and it's slightly longer. The copy has a shorter square pipe all the way up to the swivel base. So I took the top piece off, and you can see that there is quite an edge where this flange connects to the pipe. This is where the clogging starts. There are also some rather poor welds in the corners. Another thing is that the pipe is slightly tapered to the top, approximately 10 to 15 millimeters in each direction. Maybe they did this to gain some airspeed, but it certainly isn't helping with the clogging issue. At this point I'm kinda improvising. I had a piece of round pipe laying around and I wanted to make a transition from square to a circular pipe. I'm trying to make it lean closer to the original Wallenstein design, so I will go to an octagonal shape into a round pipe and bend the square open so it loses the taper. I also opened up the top flange from square to round to eliminate corners for sticking. Well, some other things worth mentioning about the BX52R is that the PTO shaft sits really high up. It's about 75 centimeters from the foot of the chipper. If you have a tractor where the PTO shaft sits pretty low, like an older Massey Ferguson or a Ford, you will have problems running the chipper. Well, I don't want to say everything is bad. There are some good things too. For instance, the clones come with a built-in hydraulic tank and a PTO-driven pump. This is a very expensive option on the original. Also, the hydraulic hoses are all shielded, which is good if you leave it outside to protect the rubber from dry rotting, and in case of a line bursting it will keep the fluid from shooting out. probably the biggest positive of the Chinese clone BX52R is the price. It will vary where you live, but it's less than half the price of the original Wallenstein. Having said that, you get what you pay for. So, would I recommend this wood chipper after owning it for 3 years? I would say if you are a DIYer and have some fabrication skills, or you are barely going to use the machine anyway, then this is a viable option for you. But don't expect a flawless working machine out of the box. So I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something about the model of wood chipper. Leave a like and comment if you found this video helpful, and as always, thanks for watching.